In today's lesson, we're going to be covering how we can create sliders in SwiftUI, and the sample app is going to look like this. So if we change the width, we're going to be able to edit the width of this rectangle, and we can make it smaller, shorter, and we can also change the height. So if we want a small rectangle, we'll just go down. If we want a bigger rectangle, we can change both of these towards the top. And as you can see, we have different background colors for each one of these sliders. So it looks quite nice. It's very easy to create and it gives you live updates. We can also go ahead and reset everything so we can have the default square. So this is just a sample case on how we can use the sliders, but of course there are millions of ways to actually use them. But with that being said, let's go ahead and create a new Xcode project by holding down Shift Command plus N. And here we will just click on App and Next, and we can call this Sliders 2 or whatever project name you want. We have to pick SwiftUI for the interface, and as a language we're going to choose Swift. Then click on Next and specify a project location and click on Create. And as always inside here, we want to go ahead and close the sidebar and the other sidebar, and we're going to change this to an iPhone 13. Plus, we're going to minimize this so we have some space to work in the editor and click on Resume. Now, the first thing we have to do is create two state variables. One is state var of type width, which is going to be a double set to 110 initially. And then we will type in @state var height, which is also of type double, will be set to 110 also initially, because we want to create a square. And inside the body, we will get rid of this text and introduce a VStack. And inside the VStack, the first thing we want to add is a spacer, so it pushes everything to the bottom. And then we want to specify a rectangle. And we're going to provide the frame, which is going to have a width of width and a height of the height. So these two state variables are going to reflect live on this rectangle, so we can edit it as we please. And we want to give it a foreground color of .blue. Then we will introduce another spacer, so it goes back to the center of the screen. And below that, we should go ahead and type in text, because the first slider we want to create will edit the width. Then we will create the actual slider, and to do that, you just have to type in slider, followed by parentheses, and you need to provide a value, which is going to be a binding variable, which will be bound to our width. And we also need to provide a range, or else it's going to be indefinite. So here we have to go ahead and type in 20 to 200, and you need to put a colon over here. Then at the bottom of the VStack, we will type in padding, so we have some more space between the edges. And for the first slider, we will go ahead and use something called an accent color, and this is going to be of .green. And this is actually eventually going to be deprecated, so the suggestion tells you to try using tint instead, which should achieve the same result, but I believe that's only available on iOS 15, so to make that work, you're going to have to upgrade it. So if we actually go to this error, it's going to say tint is only available in iOS 15 or newer. But to simplify the code for this video in particular, we're just going to leave it at accent color. Then we also want to go ahead and create another text with the text of height, so we can edit the height. And we can go ahead and copy this slider, paste it right under, and change this to $height. And finally, all we want is a reset button. So button that says reset, and inside here we can type in self.width will equal the initial value, which is 110, and self.height will also be equal to 110. Now we can go ahead and actually use a live preview, and you'll notice that we can actually drag these sliders and it's going to edit the square as we drag it. So we can make a very low square or rectangle, and we can make it also very long, or we can make it very thin and make it very high. And of course, if we mess up, we can click on reset. So it's actually a very nice way to let the users customize certain aspects of an app, and it's very easy to introduce. But as always guys, with that being said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson.